Okay, so now that I've got my site analysis drawings set up, as far as I need them to anyway, it's a good chance to start maybe planning out the families that we might need for this project. And so before we get into modifying and making your own families, I just wanted to go through some of the other family types that you have in Revit. And so you can see here that I'm on a sheet, and that on the architecture tab you can see now the component tool is greyed out. So we can't use that, but there are families that we can use on a sheet. If you go to the Annotate tab, you'll see that over on the right, the symbol tool is still active. So if I click symbol, then you'll see there actually is there are actually a couple loaded already. One of them is a north arrow. Okay, so I could use that, but I don't really like that north arrow. So I'm going to click Load Family. Yeah, that's right. I know it's cut off, and so yeah, I don't like it at all. So if you go to then the annotations panel, sorry, annotations folder, I mean, and then symbols, and then general, you'll see some more symbols. So there's a scale there, which is pretty handy, but some other north arrows as well. So I'll just grab this one. So I can place that on a sheet. No, it's not that clever, unfortunately. You can get some that do that, but not this one. So, so the easiest way then to make it rotate to true north is to find something as a reference. So we know that these buildings here are basically pointing towards north. If you check in the original view, or another way would be to, so I'll just drag this away. So if we just activate the view and then turn cropping off, we can tell visually that that is pointing towards north, but there are other things as well. So I'll deactivate. So, but you can see now we've got this north arrow showing, so I can drag this somewhere close to it, and then exactly just use the rotate tool. So here, if I click rotate, then as long as it looks right, it is right, basically. That's probably close enough, but if you're fussy like me, you could rotate it a little bit more.
I wondered if you were going to
Yeah, can't help it.
I wondered if the angle still up and right.
Yeah, but good enough. So, yeah. Okay, so now I'll crop my view again and deactivate it, and then drag them all back onto it. So if I wanted to put that onto another sheet, now I could just select it, click copy to clipboard, open up another sheet, and then, well, that's probably a bad example, but if I go to, say, floor plans, and then, well, actually this one, yeah, that's right, same orientation. So, okay, so again, on this sheet now, I can go to the arrow under paste, and then align to current view. Oh, except this page is a different size, so it's gone in a different place, but at least it's come in the same angle. So you've got lots of symbol families. I'll show you some others, because they're really useful things. So again, under Annotate, Symbol, Load Family. So remember, you've got the Annotations folder, which has the Symbols folder, and then in general, you'll find things like the graphical scale. But notice, this is only for 1 to 100. So you can see it in the name. It tells you over here, graphical scale 1 to 100. No, but you can use others that are set up for different scales. Okay, so the site plan was 1 to 500, and the sections I think they're both 1 to 100 actually. I thought we had some 1 to 50s, but maybe not. Anyhow, I'll show you where to get some different scales. So again, using symbol, load family, and so then if you go to the folder on the P drive, which again I'll have to go in the long way, but you can get to more easily. So I have to go this way. Okay, so here we've got again, an annotations folder, and you can see there's a lot more in it. And I've Yeah, yeah, that's it. So I've got some different north symbols, north arrows there. And if you go into the architectural folder, I think I've put a few more in there. Here we are. So there's one that I've made. And yeah, I like that one. Okay, so then back to that folder, and there are also some more scales that I've made. So again, I think I put them all.
Not in the Revit library.
No, it is in the Revit library, not in the default one. Yeah, yeah. The one on the P drive.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all in
yeah.
So if I've already taken the Revit library, that's all in there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it. So here you can see I've got these graphical scales that I've made for other scales. Now, I haven't made one for 1 to 500, but I've made one for 1 to 200 and one for 1 to 50. So that should be helpful. But in this case, again, it's not appropriate for this drawing because this one we know is a 1 to 500. So you would need to make your own for 1 to 500, but you don't need it for all scales. So don't worry about 1 to 500, but for 1 to 200, 1 to 50, you definitely should have them. Okay, so they're, again, 2D symbols. There are other types of 2D symbols which are a bit more involved called detail components. And we'll go into those later, but for details, they're really useful. But then probably what's going to be more useful for your design work are going to be things like the furniture families. So again, using place a component. Now you can see I've gone back into a regular plan view. So if I go and use the component tool, place a component, and then again load family, and I'm going to go straight to the Revit library on the P drive, and then in the furniture folder here, I've added a lot more furniture than you've got in the regular library. So make sure you have a look through there. Lots of things you can use. And then in the subfolders, of course, there's even more. So most of the, or not most, but a lot of the common, I won't say common, but well-known designer chairs, like the Vasily chair, egg chair, things like that there, the saucer chair, that Chase chair. Here it is, this one. Yeah, they are, yeah. So, okay, so if we look at this now in perspective, see there, it's a full 3D model, and in realistic, unfortunately, it's still going to show the lines, but when you render it, they won't show. So, I'm not sure. It's probably should be white, but I'll have to have a look. So, yeah. So if you look at this, it's got layers. So. Yeah, I'll quickly show you that actually. So for things like this, if you see a detailed bit of geometry like that, that doesn't look like it's been made in Revit, and you can tell because it's got these sort of curvy, faceted things, you could not make that in Revit. Even in SketchUp, that'd be difficult. So that's been made in AutoCAD. So to change things like that, it's a bit different to your regular Revit things. You've got to go to the Manage tab, and then Object Styles. And then under imported objects, if you expand this, you'll find the layers for that element. Yeah, so yeah, that's right. It's this Chase seat. It's probably blue, but we'll have a look at the material there. So I'll set it to a better one. We're going to spend more time on materials as we go through this, but it's helpful definitely to look at this now. So here I'll set it to one of these laminates. And maybe I'll make it shinier. Gloss. White. Okay, so then here, yeah, we'll just duplicate that too and make it gloss. And that'll do. So that's good enough for now. And maybe we could make it, that's fine. This war paint, we can make it better later, but for now, at least, if I go to render, you can see it's already changed to white, and when I render, I'll make it interior sun only, and we should then get an idea of that material. There we are. So that's going to help you a lot if you can get those families for especially your finished components. And so I thought I'll show you as well some of the common web resources that you can use. So BIM Object is a pretty good one. It's unfortunately gotten a bit more technical than it used to be, or a lot of the families on here are set up in a more technical way, and some of them seem to rely on some setups that you won't need to use. They're still good, but just let me know if you've got a family from there that's causing you problems. I can show you how to fix it. It's mainly issues with materials, but don't be put off by that. When you start using them, if you notice those messages come up that give you warnings and issues with materials.
You can upload them into Revit.
Oh yeah, all of these can be downloaded, yeah.
You have to join as a membership.
Yeah, yeah. So you just need to register. It's free to register. And but then otherwise, it's got a pretty good selection of families. You can all, of course, download. And so that's a good resource. Another one is this one here, the National BIM Library. So that's got a lot of stuff in it as well. Again, it's a bit technical, but it's still pretty good. Oh, Building Information Modelling. So that's what Revit is. It's a BIM program. Then another one, it's fairly well known, Revit City. So,
Now, all of them you have to join?
yep,
Free.
yep, free to join. Yep. And here, if you look at, say, the furnishings folder, you'll find lots of things, but actually, so I'm looking for chairs. Yeah, oh, well, I'll get one from another site, but yeah, I will. So this one, oh, not quite. No, you need to download. So, yeah. So I'll get one from Modeler. So that one here, Modeler, is another popular one. So yes, I'll download one from Modeler. The others I'd have to, the login's a bit more involved. Okay, so again we've got, say, furniture here on the left. Modeler's great actually, there's a lot of really good stuff on here. So we'll get this, and so here, actually I think you can save it without logging in on Modeler, so I just want to double check. I know you didn't log in. Okay, so I'll just sign in. Yeah, well actually I thought this one had the Revit link straight up, but let's just...
Sometimes it does.
Yeah, this one doesn't have Revit, I don't think. So, yeah, I just assumed it did. But, yeah, not all of them do. So, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Or you can't download it at all, it's just a product information sheet. I had trouble finding a way to filter just Revit
Yeah.
and still filter the other stuff, but you know, filter the sulfide.
Yeah, where is it?
Once I found
They've changed it a bit.
I was able to search for more.
Yeah, so, we'll see.
So that one doesn't have a download.
No.
You can see next to home, it's got an icon for download as well. Is that a real chair or is it the rendered? Is that rendered?
So that's a, yeah, that was a photo. Yeah.
Rendered, yeah, they're all rendered.
Oh, God, this annoying thing. So,
Completely rendered. Yeah.
okay, so, yeah, it used to be, yeah, there. Well, that's obviously what you've got to get.
It still is, you just have to find the right stuff.
Yeah.
So not everything.
No, no. Modular, it's weird. Most of it used to be Revit, but then they've got a lot of stuff there that isn't.
Jenny, if you sort, will it let you sort by?
I can't even see the sort by, I'm just blind. Oh, yeah, yeah, okay, here we go. No, unfortunately. Yeah, I thought there was an option to get just the Revit things. A lot of stuff is. Yeah, yeah.
One that's Revit, you can then.
That's it, yeah. So, even this one, yeah. Will be.
Yeah, there's a lot of mutation.
So Revit, you can only use the Revit model, so not everything you can upload?
No, no. So, okay, so we'll do it a different way. So if we go into here and just do Revit modeler. Yeah. Yeah. Here we go. So that's the modeler page with all the Revit things. And so we'll just get something that should work. Yeah, so I think that it's going to have the beam thing on it. I don't know. But, yeah, so these are all tap fittings. Let's see if we can filter by... Oh, here we go. Definitely go to furniture now, and hopefully we'll keep the Revit things. No. That's annoying. Yeah. So... Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, so you can just middle click to do that. But yeah, so I was hoping to get some furniture. Here we go. There we are. Okay, so let's have a look at it. So I've just middle clicked on that to open it in a new tab. And there we are. So now you've got the download page. So that's what you need, that download. Then yeah, so just make sure it's got the Revit option there. And then download. And yeah, so it's a zip file, so you do need to save it into your own folder. So a lot of them will save as zip files, yeah. Yeah. So here you need to, it's usually best to extract it, so if you just find that file, right click and then extract all, and then click extract. So now it's made a folder with that name, and there, oh again, okay, so it's a zip file in there, unfortunately. Well, I don't know why they do this, but that's the people who make it. So there we are, so now we've got the Revit file. So often the best option there is just to double click and open that file, and if you get a message asking to upgrade, just do that. So that'll open it in Revit, and you can have a look at it on its own. And then if you click Load into Project, and then it's fairly easy to place it into your own space. Oh, well, to a point. It's going to come in scaled already, so it's the right size. It's all one-to-one. Okay, so you've got to look at the way it's set up. So it may have properties for that, but in this case it doesn't. Yep. Yeah, no, the scaling's managed a lot better than SketchUp. But yeah, look, it would be nice if they had one that was adjustable, but this one isn't. But you'll see a lot of them will be. So I'll show you one that is adjustable, just to make it clear what the difference is. So, no. But a lot of them will have options for setting the size. So this family I know is set up in Revit. So this one has options to change the size. That's right. So, oops. Okay, so if you go to Edit Type, you can see there it's got width, height and depth as properties you can adjust. Right, so that one is adjustable. And you've got some preset sizes already. But we can go in here and say, right, instead of 800 wide, we want it to be 500 wide. And it can do that. This one, though, hasn't been set up that way. So It's not adjustable at the moment. Yeah. Right, but what you can also do, so we'll go further with families next week and also not after the holidays, but before you go to make your own families from scratch, what you can start to do is modify families that you've loaded. So you can modify families that you get from those internet sources or even families that you get from the regular library. And so a good example here might be that you don't want, say, the armrest on that chair. Now, you might have seen there is one already set up like this, but just as an example, I'm going to select that. And it's a really good thing to start playing with to experiment and get used to families. When you select any family, you've got the option there to edit family. Okay, so if I don't want the armrest, I can delete it. And then these pieces here, I can then stretch, fairly obvious with the arrow, and bring it down to the base. Something like that. Not even being too precise here. Then click Load into Project, and then make sure you've got the right one selected. Click OK, and then here I'm going to choose Override Existing Version. Yeah, that's right. So they're voids. But okay, so again, we can go back and fix that. So if I go back to Edit Family, and I can see here, yep, there are the holes. They're because of these things called voids, which again, I can simply delete. I don't need to know how to make them. Obviously I do, but we don't need to. So again, load into project. That's it. Yes, if you, yeah, that's right, that's a good point. Okay, so to do that, so let's go back and I'll make another change. So I'll go again, edit family. And so let's decide I want this to have, maybe I don't want the rounded edge. So that's another thing I can just delete. And now I've got, obviously, square edges, which wouldn't be very nice, but just as an example. So I'll, to bring it in as a new one, save as. So I can give it a new name. Yep. So I'll save as family, and we'll just put it somewhere else so it doesn't get in the way of these other things. So I'll call it flat seating or something. Yeah. Flat bench. There we go. Okay, so now if I load it back into the project, it'll tell me, well, it won't tell me that it's already there, so I can place it to the side, and it's not going to affect the previous one. So looking at it in the 3D view, we've got the new one and the old one side by side. And when I select this new one, you'll see it's got a different name. It's flat bench, and the other one was whatever, contemporary setting. So that's how you do it. Just make sure you give it a new name. Using save as is the easiest way. And there we are. So that way you should be able to use these resources as a starting point. Even if it's not exactly the same as what you want for your design, you can often find something fairly close and then modify it so that you can use it. So got all those great resources. There are new ones coming online all the time. So just try searching for something like Revit Families, and you'll find probably lots that I don't even know about, and I'm always looking for these things. I'll just tell you one more. For plumbing fixtures, Caroma. It's great because they have, sorry? Yeah, they've got a huge range, and most of their things are now set up for Revit. So that's a really good resource. I just search for Caroma, and then, yeah, that's it. I'll just go to the main Caroma site. And then here, if you say I'm a professional, it seems to give you a bit more. And then here it's a lot easier, BIM library. And again, so they've got, here you can see Revit set up, a bit more accessible. And obviously choose what you want. Okay, and I think this one you don't have to log in, or do you?
You don't have to set up an account.
Yeah, I thought. I've got to log in, but I thought you could just download these. Yeah, that's what I was clicking, and it's. Oh, here we go. RFA. This should be right. Here we go. That's it. So again, just like before, it's downloading a zip file. So again, in that situation, it's easiest just to extract it. Okay, so it's not finished yet. Let's try that again. Nope, still not finished. Let's just see the downloads. Okay, I might just try that one again. Yeah, I've used that one before, but yeah, should work. Ah, that's worked. Okay, so yeah, it's weird. So anyhow, there's the file, and again, I'll just repeat this: easiest to open the file first. Trust me on that one, because if you try to load it and you don't know what category it is, you might have to do a lot of trial and error to work out which tool you have to use. Whereas if you do it this way and then choose load into project, yeah, download it first, then open it, and that way, notice how here it's gone to the right tool. I don't need to know what it is. It's chosen the tool that I need, and then I can just place it. In this case, we've got to be up against the wall. So we'll stick a toilet in the lounge room, I suppose, but so you can see it, there we are. I know it looks small, but that's the right size for this small one. It is a fairly small toilet, but there we go. Yeah. Oh, I saw some guy, he had it was disgusting, but he had a toilet in his lounge room, under his lounge chair. Oh, God, what's wrong with those people? Anyhow. Yeah. Yeah, we built into his chair. Yeah, maybe, yeah. Anyway, you would never do that, obviously. So, anyhow, you've got the, obviously, Corona Library, but there are plenty of others. I think Kohler now have theirs as well, and there are some others. But apart from plumbing fixtures, I suppose furniture would be one of the most important things for you. Doors and windows can be a bit trickier, but you will find a lot of those, particularly on sites like Revit City. I think Stegbar may have a lot of theirs done as Revit now as well. Hoping. Yeah. So here we are. So Stegbar isn't bad. Trend. I know it looks like they're a different company, but I know some people who work at the company that own both of these, and it's the same place. Yeah, Stegbar and Trend. I think they do still have different ranges, but yeah, it's interesting. Geldwen, here we go, that company. Geldwen just bought them both. Right, so.
Danny, I was going to ask you about, once you've downloaded these Fandangle bits, how
Yep.
do you put them into the main Revit library?
You can't. Well, you don't need to add them to this because that's read only in here, so you can't add things to it. You can give them to me if you want me to put them up there. But for your own purposes, you just make a folder and keep them all in the same place. Yeah, that's it.
Because I was working out how to... Yeah, because when you're downloading them, you put them wherever you put them.
Yeah.
But the program has its own library.
Oh yeah, well it does, but when you're loading families,
Worked out how to put materials in. I've got the furniture and objects.
yeah, that's right. So yeah, as long as you keep those in your own folder, materials are different. So, so the materials library doesn't really exist as such. In Revit, you essentially have this list on the left, which is the project materials. So that's stored in your project file. And then the render appearance is a separate library And this might seem like a strange setup, but basically that's read only. You can't modify that. Even I can't modify it. It's deliberately left that way, so it's the same for everyone. No matter where you go, every time you use Revit, that is a locked material library. It's just meant to be a starting point, and then you can bring materials in from there to your project, and that's where you modify them. So essentially, yeah. So, and essentially the way I think they expect you to work with a material library is to have a template file. We're going to go further with templates later. And in that template file, you'd save all of the most common materials that you use. And then you get it when you start a new file. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's the way. So it seems like a strange setup at first, but once you start working with it, it does work pretty well. Yeah. So anyhow, that's all I wanted to go through. Just get you thinking about families. Maybe start you off downloading and building up a bit of a collection of families that you might want to use for your designs. And then also think about how you can modify families. And I will just show you one very last thing there. If I select this one here, I know that that one has probably been made a bit differently. So the one that I downloaded first for Modeler, I'd be pretty sure that's been done in AutoCAD. And I'll know if I go Edit Family and then select it. Okay, we've got to go and edit this part. And then I can see, yeah. So you can see there, DWG. So at its base, that is actually an AutoCAD model, which is quite difficult to modify and manipulate in Revit. So you'd see that and you go, right, if I want to make changes, well, I'm out of luck, and I'd need to find a different family. But this one has more likely been made entirely using the Revit tools. And I'll know, again, if I select it, go to Edit Family, and then look at this. Oops. So you can see there, it is, well, actually, it's not giving me the right tools, but so it's probably not the best example, but there we are, this one is. So you can see there, if I select that, that object, yeah, we know it's a sweep. And so you could change that potentially. A bit more involved than what we've been looking at, but just so you can see there, that is a collection of lines similar to what you would have drawn when you make your floors and roofs and ceilings and other things like that. So let's just maybe do a quick example. If I want to change the radius there, that's possible. Okay, so you've got all those options depending on how the family's been made. Yeah. Yeah, believe it or not, toilet seats are a real pain when you get to specify things like that because, yeah, they are. There are so many different sizes. You'd think it'd be a standardised thing, like it is in Japan, where they have much more amazing toilets than we do, if you've seen all the high-tech stuff they've got. Yeah, that's right. But it's standardised as well. Like everything in Japan, they really think it through. Yep, all that. Yeah. I know, it's a nightmare in Australia, yeah. It's shocking, yeah. Yeah, I know, it's so hard. You wouldn't believe how many drawings I've done of bloody toilet seats. Just to go and specify, and you... Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, pretty tedious stuff, but that's life when you're doing design. Anyhow, so try and have a look at some different families for your designs, and again, think about how you can work with